So I wanted to try to get a video done while I can. Baby just went to sleep a little bit early. She was watching, I don't know if her big sister got her into Little Einsteins or not, but she started watching Little Einsteins today, which was, that's one of my shows. I could rock with Little Einsteins. So I was pretty hype on just listening to that one to see if she was interested in watching it, and she was watching it. So in this video we're just gonna be talking about a couple things, but it was mainly about like daycare and having that assistance outside of the mother or the father, or even if you don't have one or the other. But my daughter got sick recently, right after starting school, right? And we took her to the doctor, and they pretty much told us, like, her doctor, she told us that it was gonna happen. So I was just like, she just didn't think it would happen as fast, So I thought that was pretty funny. Just the fact that both of my children now had to stay home for like 10 days. I didn't really appreciate that, it kind of makes for an inconsistent work schedule, when you don't really have the assistance that you need at that point, because if they're in daycare, they can't go, if they're in school, they can't go. So it gets kind of hard, makes the assistance part kind of a little bit more of a burden that you kind of got to work around. But that's just how life goes. But just realizing that both parents just need to be involved in some way, shape, or form. Being able to work together is definitely a beautiful thing. And a lot of that, it does come with mental stability, because I would definitely say the mental stability takes a hit in both parents when a child is born. And I know, when things start to sour, it's easy not to think about the other person's feelings. But, for us men, on the men's side, we know that, we know women are emotional, and we know we have to, say some shit with our chest and carry some burdens, and that's just for us to take, so I definitely, on my channel, I want to focus on men bettering themselves, so that these young ladies don't, they don't grow up thinking that certain stuff is okay. We want to set good examples for our children, for our daughters, for our sons. And like, we got to stay away from the greed, the selfishness, the trauma. Got to heal ourselves, the bitterness, attachment issues. It can take years, for a man to get himself together. It might be 30, it might be 40, or he might have to grow up fast. So just depending on what kind of soul you're dealing with, it can definitely be the root chakra that needs a lot of work. That has to do with a lot of the grounding, and I'll be doing a specific video on that. But it's kind of where our foundation starts, as children, how we can end up being son husbands, or being fathers that gravitate heavily to single mothers. Doing self work, emotionally, the emotional trauma that some of us bear, it can show in weird ways towards our children, So if I said a good example of it. I said, if you are unhealed, you'll be unable to allow your inner child play with your actual child. And that's a big thing. That's how we connect to our children. So If you are so traumatized that you can't even touch and talk to your inner child, you're gonna have some issues with connecting with your little one, with your little being that you're trying to, cultivate this great relationship with. And I would definitely say women are way better at this than men, from a natural nurturing standpoint. But, fathers definitely can play a large role in this also, because what we are doing is we're creating emotional, unstable adults because of our emotional instabilities that we carry around and that we were taught as children going into young adulthood. The big thing is taking ownership of your situation, letting God know that you accept all the wrong that you have done. You take ownership, you take the blame. That has a lot of power in a lot of these situations. As a man, if you don't know how to take blame, it's going to be a very rocky road for you. And next, it will go into evaluating yourself and how you handle situations, keeping a positive outlook on life. And the crazy thing is, I know a lot of situations that I've been through I haven't handled the best, but I've done my fair share of self-development and self-evaluating to try to better myself. And I definitely do the research and try to study and get my mindset right. A lot of it has to do with just eliminating a lot of BS from your life, so then you can think more clearly. But let's talk about these ridiculous child care prices. So we know for right now, the average is $330 a week for infant care, and it drops down to about $215 a week for preschooler care, right? And I know in some of these school districts, some of these cities and some of these states, they have really good programs, after school programs for the kids. But it's definitely who you know. You might know about the program, but if you don't know anybody that can get you into the program, it's very hard to get into a lot of these free programs. So then you end up paying for a sitter, paying for a nanny, and nannies are way more expensive than childcare. So, there's usually an application fee. There's usually a potty fee if your child is not potty trained. And normally, if there's a single parent, if it's a single parent household, there's definitely usually issues when it comes to potty training a child if the parent is full-time working and a single parent. So I definitely understand that. And the crazy thing is, so for the monthly cost, at a child care that's not too far away from here, it's about $1,500 for 5 days, and that's for a 6 weeks to 24-month-old. And then it drops down to about $1,100 a month for a 25-month-old to preschool. And that's only for 5 days. We got to remember that daycares and these child care centers, they're usually not open on the weekends. But if they are, you're going to be paying that price. So we got to keep that in mind. But a lot of what I'm saying is just to get the understanding out there that I understand that a lot of people feel like co-parenting is probably BS. I definitely don't co-sign with it. I think there needs to just be more of an understanding on what the children need, and and then sticking to that. So, but I know a lot of people, they'll just be like, you just give me a little support and you can be on your way. But these kids, they need both of their parents, no matter what we say, no matter how we slice it. I definitely just don't want my child to grow up with any traumatized views on relationships and just how things should go. I want my child to be able to think for themselves. My children to be able to think for themselves and be able to assess a situation and be able to realize what is for them and what is not. So, as they get older, we'll definitely be having those talks. But till next time, if you could subscribe, and if If you can give me a like if I deserve it, if I said anything that was useful or gave any insight on some information. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content. I'll be speaking on fatherhood and a lot of inner child work and fatherhood growth and just growth as a black man, and on my other channels I'll be shedding some light on my children. I'll have those linked down below. So I appreciate y'all. It's Jay Spivey with Respect the View Podcast, and I'm out.